What's going on, all of you fantastic freelancers? My name is William, and my apologies for this week's content being a little bit more spaced out than usual. I have been remarkably busy this week while also learning more about YouTube's algorithm to optimize our channel just a little bit more. But let's not waste our time and cut straight to the chase. In today's video, we are going to be discussing a topic that many of you are, well, already familiar with, especially with their functionality. This topic, of course, being the elements in Anthem. However, there are a few new factoids that have recently surfaced over the last few weeks that merit being covered and discussed, especially since they can make or break your efficiency in combat. We've known about Anthem's 4 elements for a while now, these of course being fire, frost, electricity, and acid. These 4 elements and how they interact with us in the world of Anthem have some huge benefits, primarily with our combo system. The combo system is essentially how you are able to deal greater damage to enemies should you be able to pull off the elemental factors, and this is a gameplay mechanic that pretty much embodies the entire squad feel of Anthem. But how do elemental combos work? It's actually pretty simple. One elemental gear attachment acts as a primer, such as the Ranger's Frost Grenade or the Storm's Ice Shards ability. Then you have the Activator or Detonator ability, which is another high-impact element or attachment, such as the Colossus's use of the Fire Mortar or the Storm's Thunderous Calldown. There are plenty of primers and plenty of activators, so how you mix and match in either a team setting or alone will determine your effectiveness in combat. Though let's break down each of the 4 elements really quickly. Fire-based attacks and abilities serve as the dot damage type, which is also known as damage over time. Let's say you hit an enemy with a fire attack. Their health will slowly begin to tick down so long as the fire status is in effect. Next up we have Frost, which, as I'm sure you are aware, freezes your enemies over time. Abilities like Frost Shards will take several stacks in order to completely freeze your target, while larger creatures like Lesser Ash Titans and Ursics require significantly more to be frozen, if they can even be frozen in the first place. Electricity attacks basically serve the AoE damage type, which is also known as Area of Effect damage. And lastly, we have Acid, which is a corrosive element which causes enemies to take more damage for the duration of the Acid ability. Now, it's worth noting that not all javelins can use every element. For instance, the Storm cannot use its seals to create acid-based attacks, and the Colossus does not have any frost-based ordnance attachments. This does bring us to our next topic on how each of the javelins have a unique way of utilizing the elements. The Storm, for instance, can spread elemental status effects from one enemy to another. If a Storm was to freeze an enemy and defeat them, the enemies surrounding that defeated enemy will take on their comrade's status effect and would also become frozen as well. Let's continue on with the Frost example for now. The Interceptor will inherit whichever element that was recently used to defeat an enemy. In other words, it will use the Frost as an aura around itself, which allows the Interceptor to run around the battlefield and freeze other enemies as well, so long as the Frost aura is still active. Next up is the Colossus. If the enemy is frozen and the Colossus detonates it, there will be a spread AoE damage around the detonated target. If you are a fan of spread AoE damage, this is definitely the suit for you. Lastly, we have the Ranger, which has a huge critical damage spike on enemies that have been primed for combos. This javelin is best suited for focusing down heavier enemies or bosses as opposed to grunts or trash mobs. Also, it gives it some great solo ability, so if you are craving that solo experience, this will be the suit for you. Before we go, I wanted to share this chart a fellow Anthem fan created that gives us a better understanding of each javelin's elemental abilities, what they are, and where they go. Special thanks again to Carpagio for this chart. First and foremost, you'll notice letters in parentheses 3 spaces down from where each javelin is named. The Ranger's gear slots are called Grenade Gear, Assault Gear, and an Ultimate Ability, not to mention a Support Gear at the bottom that it can choose from one of 2 options. The same goes for the others, as you can see. The Colossus has Ordnance and Heavy Assault Gear, the Storm has Blast and Focus Seals, and the Interceptor has Assault and Strike Systems. Down the chart, you will be able to see the attachment type and what type of damage they do. So let's make a hypothetical build for the Ranger real quick. I'm going to be playing with my friends, and GRIMSLINGER is going to serve as our Storm. He will be equipping Ice Shards and Glacial Beam to prime our targets for comboing by freezing them. That means I won't have to worry about equipping my Frost Grenades to prime the targets for combos. I'll instead put my Seeker Grenade in for my Grenade Gear slot and add a Blast Missile for my Assault Gear attachment with Muster Point to increase our team's AoE damage. The only reason why I don't have 2 grenades is that you can only have 1 grenade and 1 Assault Gear in your Javelin's loadout at one time, or at least the Rangers, of course. But this is just a theoretical build, and you should always adjust your builds depending on how many people you'll be playing with, if any at all, and what attachments they will be sporting to be most helpful and beneficial to the team or by yourself as possible. I actually may make my own chart, as there are a few things on this chart that could be tweaked, so look in the community tab over the next few days for that sheet. But that is the summary on Anthem's elements, what they do, how to make the most of them, and how each suit interacts with them. With that being said, which element is your favorite? Or do you already have a loadout ready to go? Let me know in the comments section below, as I really do read through all of your comments and respond to them when I'm able. And if you are enjoying the content we are making on your game, Anthem, then consider leaving a like and subscribing for more news and videos just like this one. A special thank you as always to my patrons for their generous donations and support of the channel. I hope all of you fantastic freelancers have a phenomenal day as ever, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the next video very soon. Onwards and upwards, freelancers. Excelsior.